Gen Z hates working from home. But do they really? The world has been trying to demystify Gen Z ever since they entered the workforce. And with the pandemic winding down, companies are trying their hardest to get them, along with everyone else, back into the office. Is Gen Z really dying to get back in the office? Or is this another ploy by companies trying to push their pro-in-office agenda? Let's dive in. Hey everybody, welcome to Circling Back, a segment where I cover the trending news and stories around the world of work and share how you can grow your career along the way. Hi, my name is Josh. I'm a leadership development trainer who has written for Harvard Business Review and also been featured in Business Insider and LinkedIn News. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss one of the latest segments. This week, I read a Business Insider piece titled, Gen Z Actually Hates Working from Home. The piece states that Gen Z wants to return back to the office more than any other generation, and that they actually don't like working from home. Their desire for being included in a community, mentorship, and networking opportunities are what supposedly drive this claim. The piece even goes into a story about a 25-year-old engineer who left her remote job because she wanted to interact more in person, so she joined a company that requires her to meet in person with her team at least once a week. The article also goes as far as saying Gen Z depends on work for their social life. Well, I imagine this is a dream come true for companies who are looking to lure their employees back into the office. But you might be asking, where's the data? Where's this research that's backing up this claim that Gen Z hates working from home and they actually prefer to be in the office? These are legitimate questions, and this is really where I have the biggest issue on this piece and the claim that it makes. The whole article centers around two pieces of data. To quote the piece, the preference for remote work, it turns out, is highly generational. A national work-from-home survey by economists at 3 universities found less than a quarter of 20-somethings who could do their jobs remotely wanted to do so full-time. That's compared with 29% of employees in their 30s, 33% in their 40s, and 41% in their 50s and early 60s. LinkedIn, which analyzed job applications on its platform, found that 20 to 24-year-olds were the least likely cohort to apply to remote roles. Gen Z wants to work together in person, Joe Dubay, the CEO of Eden, a provider of workplace management software, said. When we talk to our customers, they're telling us the same thing. It's their 20-somethings that are pushing them very hard to get back into the office. A very convenient statement from a company who runs workplace software that benefits from employees being in the office. I'll leave a list of their products on the screen and let you be the judge. But let's go ahead and address the piece of data referenced in this article that says less than a quarter of 20-somethings who can work from home want to do it full-time. Here's the graphic used in the article for a quick reference. Of course, I did my own digging into the cited research. The graphic referenced in the article is similar to this one found in the 28-page research deck from firm Work From Home Research. The problem is, when looking at the full slide, you don't know the distribution of the full sample size. Out of 8,788 participants, how many were actually Gen Z? And what industries did they work in? We just know that they're US residents, aged 24 to 64, earning $10,000 or more a year from 2019 to 2021. This is also only half of the slide. When looking at the full picture, you can see additional data that shows how many days working from home is preferred in a given week. As you can see, the 20 to 29 age group averages 2.57 days, while the opposite end of the spectrum of ages 50 to 59 prefer 3.01 days at home. Look, I'm no data analyst by any means, but when you take the data from the research that's referenced and you apply it to real life and real life scenarios, the numbers are negligible and actually don't provide any value in determining whether a specific generation hates working from home. What constitutes as 2.57, 2.86, and 2.95 days working from home is pretty much just 3 days working from home plus or minus a few hours, which is just showing that everybody sampled, regardless of what generation, wants a hybrid work schedule, something that's a little bit more flexible. And we already know this. Every major publication and meaningful piece of research done post COVID-19 shows already that employees value flexibility. Now, I'm not doubting the validity of the research, but when you look at the slide with both graphs side by side, I don't see anything that justifies to say Gen Z hates working from home. They just want the flexibility to work at home and the office, which every generation seems to want. The next piece of research I want to address is the claim that Gen Z hates remote work because LinkedIn data shows that 20 to 24-year-olds were the least likely cohort to apply to remote roles. When I clicked into the link source, I found the reference to LinkedIn data from a UK publication called HR News. I wasn't able to find the direct LinkedIn data source to see what else is being shown, but again, I'm skeptical and not convinced that this shows Gen Z hates remote roles. According to LinkedIn's own data from May of this year, 35% of Gen Z job applications are to remote roles in the US, up 21% from last year. 72% of Gen Z workers also have left or are considering leaving a job because their employer didn't offer a flexible work policy. Again, when looking at LinkedIn's own data, remote jobs made up less than 20% of all paid job postings, yet received over 50% of all applications. When you see Gen Z applying to remote roles at a lower rate than other generations, this could be due to the structure of the role itself and how organizations structure entry-level types of jobs. If I had to guess, the roles that Gen Z are applying to are a little bit closer to entry-level. Companies might want to keep a closer eye on them in the office, at best for teaching purposes, and at worst for monitoring. Remember, it's all about building that sense of community you'll find in the office, right? Earlier in this video, I noted that the piece cited mentorship, building a community, and networking opportunities as one of the main driving factors for Gen Z wanting to be in the office. Well, if you spend time on any type of social media, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, or TikTok, spoiler, every generation wants this, not just Gen Z. These, and a bunch of others, are just qualities of a great work environment. If you really want to paint a picture with numbers, take a look at LinkedIn's workforce confidence research from February of this year. Where do you see any mention of being in an office to achieve any of these? Employers like to believe in the ridiculous notion that sending employees back to the office will trigger these moments of serendipity, where their employees will find opportunities for growth, development, and belonging. No, these don't happen because you're in an office. They happen because they are planned out intentionally by the organization and are promoted and supported by top-level leadership. Remote or in person, returning to the office is not magically going to solve that for you. I'm not convinced that Gen Z actually hates working from home. If anything, the research shows that Gen Z actually favors a flexible work environment. And as an employer, if you offer this, you're better off compared to other companies. I'm also not going to tell you what an entire generation is thinking about just on one subject. Everyone's different, and everybody has an ideal working situation. That's why it's better to ask them instead of relying on external information and data. Research is useful as a starting point, but it's not the end-all be-all. To wrap up, I do have two key takeaways from this piece. But before I talk about those, just a quick reminder that I sent out a leadership newsletter to over 3,200 professionals looking for career advice and leadership insights. Become a better leader today and subscribe using the link in the description. Okay, so now let's talk about those two key takeaways. The first is a message to all employers. There is no one-size-fits-all. Don't rely on external research and data to inform your decisions, and instead, take a moment and survey your employees. What do they want? How often do they want to come in? What do they need from you in order to be successful? Don't make assumptions based off of one group and cater only to them. The fastest way to alienate an entire generation is by making egregious assumptions about what they want. You just saw what they want in a job. If you need a place to start there. And if you do survey your employees about benefits and work setting, be intentional with the results and work hard to make it happen. I can't tell you how many surveys I've been a part of where the employer gets the results and then says something along the lines of, oh no, that's not us, we can't do that. Or you know what, we don't have any money to do that. What is the point of surveying them if you're not going to do anything about it? Why even ask? The last takeaway that I have is for employees and addresses the claim that Gen Z wants to be in the office because they depend on work for their social lives. This article draws a comparison between two imaginary employees, one who's 23 years old and another who is 43. For the 23-year-old, it stated that for her, the office is a much nicer place to work than her apartment. It's also a hangout, a safe and familiar space where she can meet new friends and even romantic partners. Every single piece of that sentence is a huge red flag. It's okay to be friendly and make the occasional friend at work, but it's absolutely horrible advice to tell employees to supplement their personal experiences in their lives by creating them in the workplace. And using it as an excuse to find friends and meet romantic partners is misguided and cringy at best, and toxic at worst. This type of thinking is why we have toxic work environments where employees think that their work is their whole world. How about instead, find an employer who gives you that time back in your day and doesn't stress you out so that you can have these experiences in your own personal life. Your job does not define you. Thanks for watching. That's all I have for this segment of Circling Back. What are your thoughts on returning to the office? Do you think Gen Z actually hates working from home? And if you're part of Gen Z, do you hate working from home? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss one of the latest segments. Until next time, keep on learning.